I'm back, and I'm ready for some more ice cream. As I'm sure you remember, I am on a quest to discover the best kind of ice cream in the whole world. But I've been thinking. I think that maybe up to this point, I've stayed just a little too simple. It doesn't get much simpler than vanilla ice cream, and even though that coffee ice cream last week was really good, that was pretty simple too. So maybe that's my problem. Maybe the key to the best ice cream is loading it down with toppings. All right, I'm ready to go for experiment number 3. I started out with the perfect flavor of ice cream because this is Neapolitan, so it's not just one flavor, it's 3 flavors. But I'm certainly not going to stop there. I've got the toppings here. I'm going to add some peanuts. I'm going to add some mini M&Ms. Going to add some crushed up Oreo. Going to add some sprinkles. Of course, you can't have a sundae without chocolate syrup. Or whipped cream. Oh yeah, we're ready to go. This is definitely going to be good. I have to try to get a little bit of everything in my spoon here. Wow. I definitely think I was missing the toppings these last 2 weeks. This is good. There's a lot going on. It's delicious though. I don't know if toppings are the key or not. Man, this is great, but I can't help but thinking that I forgot some. You know what? I forgot cherries. You can't have a sundae without a cherry on top. Oh, and caramel sauce. That would be great. Maybe some crumbled up brownies. Maybe I could get some chocolate chips or some gummy bears or some cookie dough. Okay, maybe I'm going a little too crazy there. But that reminds me of what we've been learning about in the book of Ecclesiastes. Do you remember that? We've been learning about King Solomon and the things that he tried to see if they could make him happy or fulfilled. Well, remember, King Solomon was the king, and so he had lots of money. And he decided to use that money to try something else that he thought might make him happy. Here's what he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 7. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also, I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. As we've learned, Solomon had realized that knowledge and education couldn't make him happy. He had also realized that pleasure and fun couldn't fulfill him. And so he decided to try something else. Stuff. So he got servants, he got silver, he got gold, he got musicians and musical instruments. In fact, he says in verse 10 of Ecclesiastes 2, whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy. In other words, if Solomon felt like getting something, he got it. Can you imagine that? So if Solomon decided, I want a new toy, he could get a new toy. If he saw a new crown and he thought, that's better looking than my old crown, he could get it. If he thought, it'd be fun to have another horse, or a new chariot, or a new house, Solomon could just get it. The book of 1 Kings tells us that Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Can you imagine being rich enough that you could buy whatever you wanted? That sounds great, right? So if you wanted a toy or a game or a bike or a new shirt or some new shoes, you could just buy it. Do you think that if you had enough money to buy whatever you wanted, that would make you happy? Well, Did it make Solomon happy? He tells us this in Ecclesiastes 2:11. He says that he looked at all the stuff that he had, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. Do you remember what vanity means? It means emptiness. So, Solomon had enough money that he could buy whatever he wanted. And he did it. He went out and he got stuff and more stuff. But did it make him happy? Did it make him fulfilled? No. He found out it was all empty. You know, you could be the richest person in the world and be able to get whatever you wanted. You could have the biggest house. You could have the fanciest car. You could be able to have your own private jet or your own private helicopter or even your own private rocket ship. But none of that would make you happy or give you meaning in your life. In Luke chapter 12, Jesus tells us a parable. Now remember, a parable is a made-up story that gives us a picture of a spiritual lesson. Well, in this parable in Luke 12, there's a rich man. And this rich man has a lot of land, and he has things that are planted on that land. And when it comes to harvest time, when they're going around and picking everything that's grown, he has a great harvest. So things have grown really well. He's got lots of stuff. It's overflowing the barns that he already has. And so he says, "This will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods." So he says, the harvest is too big to fit in my small barns? No problem. I'll just knock those barns down and I'll build humongous barns where I can fit all of that stuff. And I can just imagine him smiling, thinking about all the stuff he's going to have. And then he has a little conversation with himself in his heart. And he says to himself, "Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry." In other words, the man was saying to himself, I've got lots of stuff. I've got plenty of money. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it all. I'm just going to have a good life. I'm going to eat and I'm going to drink and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to relax and it's going to be great. But then in the story, God speaks to that man. What do you think God thought about that man and what he said in his heart? Well, here's what God said. "Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided?" In other words, the rich man was going to die that very night. The rich man thought, I have money, I have food, I have stuff, so I'm all set. But how much of that stuff was he going to take with him when he died? God said that man was a fool. Now, was he a fool because he had big fields and he planted things in them? No. Was he a fool because he had barns? No. Was he a fool because he had money? No. None of those things are wrong in themselves. It wasn't wrong for that rich man to have all those things. The problem was, that's all he had. He wanted to sit and enjoy all the stuff that he had, but he had missed something very, very important. Jesus gave us this warning from the story about the rich man. He said, "So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, but is not rich toward God." That man wasn't concerned about what would happen after he died. He was just concerned about himself and his life while he was on earth. He was concerned about laying up lots of treasures on earth. But do you remember what Jesus said about that? He said, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven." It's not wrong to have stuff. What matters is our attitude about our stuff. What if God wanted you to give up all of your stuff in order to serve him? Think about it this way. If you had $20, what would you think about giving those $20 to help a missionary instead of using it to buy yourself a new Lego set. Stuff isn't bad unless it has our hearts, unless we care about it more than we care about the things that matter forever. I got silly with all the things I wanted to add to my ice cream earlier, but sometimes that's how we are with the things of this earth. There's always something else out there that we feel like we might want. But those things can't make us happy or fulfilled. It's not wrong to have things. What's wrong is when those things start to take over our heart and keep us from focusing on God and serving Him. When that happens, it's time to let those things go. I hope you'll join me next time as I continue to try ice cream flavors and as we continue to find out what it is that gives us a life that has meaning, a life that's happy, and a life that's fulfilled.